What's up, Av Geeks? Before the show, I just wanted to kind of address something that a lot of you guys were talking about in the chat. There's a friend of ours, two friends of ours, missing from the chat tonight. I didn't think this could be this hard to talk about. Tango and Juliet, you guys might have heard. It's Tim and Joylani had tragically passed away late last week in an airplane accident. It's hitting the SuperAero community pretty hard because they were here every week as part of the community. They were part of the SuperAero Squadron. They were definitely part of the Sky fam. And it's just really sad. And I just hope that all of you watching this go to their channel, check out how amazing they were, what great people they were. Their passion for aviation was insane. It was insane, and after they run the show, I was fast friends with them, and it's just really, really sad to see them gone. Kind of eerily, the day that I found out that they were no longer with us, I got a card in the mail from them, and it is a super nice note from them, but they said in there, thank you, not only for featuring us on your show, but for connecting us with an awesome community of like-minded aviation nuts. That's you guys. May you experience endless tailwinds and fair weather. So I hope all of you at home experience endless tailwinds and fair weather. I hope you check out their channel if you've never checked it out before. Please don't participate in the speculation. Let's let the investigation happen to see what happened, and so we can learn from it. I think that's what they would want. But most of all, what they would want is for us to all have an awesome night tonight, talking dumb about airplanes and hangar flying together. So that's what we're going to do. I just wanted to put it out there that thank you to all of you guys who've been reaching out. Thank you to them for being so amazing. Go check out their channel. Make sure you subscribe. I noticed that it's already gotten hundreds of subscriptions since it happened, and I think they would like that. So anyway, I'm going to roll the intro. We're going to have an awesome night tonight. But Tango and Juliet, this one's for you guys. You guys are cleared west. Climb unrestricted. What's up, Squadron? Aviation has given me a ton of amazing experiences. And more importantly, it's introduced me to a whole new family of friends. Join us tonight because we're cleared direct for some hangar flying. I'm Bryon Dembroski, and this is SuperAero Live. What's up, Av Geeks? It's Wednesday, which can only mean one thing. It's time for SuperAero Live. I'm your host, Ryan, and what I'm going to do tonight is disappoint Nathan Ballard. I saw you in the chat, Nathan. You're upset that I'm wearing not a flannel tonight. That's right, it's a hoodie. Pfft, mind blown. Things are going to get so awesome tonight. We're going to talk about, tonight's guest, let's be real. He says he's a professional fun haver, so we're going to learn about that. I want to say hi to a couple people in the chat. Delta Lima's here in the chat. Plane Lady's in the chat. Marty Burian's in the chat. Gary Smith's in the chat. I can't talk. 782 Papa's in the chat. He said he's ready to talk dumb in general. Let's do it. Viper88 says, I keep missing these. Glad I finally made it. Viper88, boom. We are pumped to have you here tonight. Robert's in the chat. Nathan's in the chat. I think I said already. Clayton, the gang is all here. Guys, gals, let's talk about airplanes. Let's have some fun. I want to introduce our guest first. Check it out. Jerome is here. Tuskegee Bloodline. What? How's it going, dude?
How's everybody doing? How you guys doing?
It's so good to have you here tonight. I just want to start by saying, first of all, thank you so much for joining us, because one of the things that people don't know, you called me yesterday. You were had just flown back for your job. You'd flown back from Hawaii or something like that.
Yeah.
Far. I don't even say that. Did I just break some sort of OPSEC thing?
Nah, it's fine. It's already happened. And I was it was on my story the whole time. I was, just posting random stuff on the flight line and what was going on. So
Right. I was like, oh wait, should I have said that? So you
No,
are coming off like 48 hours no sleep, and you still decided to be on the show tonight. So thank you so much for that.
it was a little bit more than that, but 48 in the last 48 hours. You know, it was like a 6 day trip. You know, it was very little sleep.
That's
I think it was
hardcore.
like yeah, it was like the 19th for 48 hours. I think that's where the 48 hours of no sleep came from because it was April 19th for 2 days in a row.
I know yesterday you called me to check in about the show, and you're like, "Is today Wednesday or Tuesday?" And I was like,
Yeah,
"Dude,
yeah,
I
I didn't know what I thought it was Wednesday yesterday. I'm still messed up.
well, thanks for coming to hang out with us tonight. We should start just at the top. Uh, you on your Instagram like bio, it says you're a professional fun haver, and
Yeah,
if I were to like uh, your whole life is around aviation. You fly planes. You're in the military. You skydive. Separately, you snowboard, which sometimes means you're airborne. You're an author. You've got a lot going on. So the question I
yeah.
always ask when we start this show is, when it comes to aviation, like, where did you get your start?
I wish I knew. I have no idea. It was just something that was always there. My earliest memories are of my dad. Well, actually, not even my earliest memories. My dad, just as an adult, has told me this, that, the first time he noticed it, it was on a trip to St. Lucia or just some family vacation. I don't remember exactly where, but I'm pretty sure those pictures were from our trip to St. Lucia. Uh, he said that when we were taking off in the airport, I mean, going down the runway, as we transitioned from that 3 point to 2 point axis, like I was like, wow, this is magnificent. And he said that everyone around us had like turned around to see who was this like 3-year-old voice, using the word magnificent. But when he said that and I thought about it up until like I started flying myself, being on a commercial airplane, the takeoff was always like the most exciting part. Like I always wanted to have a window seat so I could, just watch the plane take off and the ground get smaller and further away, you know, and it just
I was
continued from
muted.
there.
I'm with you. Sorry. I'm with you.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm with you.
Oh yeah, no, I figured.
so so then you go from there to what's next? Was it going into training as in adulthood, or was it the military side of the career? Like, what's the path from there?
Yeah, so honestly, even though I've always wanted to be a pilot, like growing up, it was never something that I like actually saw happening. I didn't like think it was like a real thing, at least not for me. So but I still believed in my heart like that's what I wanted to do. It was like a fantasy almost. And when I graduated high school and I was graduating, I hadn't graduated yet, but I was about to graduate, and I was just walking through downtown Brooklyn, and I happened to walk past the Marine Corps recruiting office, and he tapped on the window and said, told me to come here, and I said, I'm good, thank you, and I just kept walking, and he tapped again, and he was just like, come on, man, like just come listen. And I was like, well, you know, I don't have any information, so I really can't make a decision without any information. So, I mean, I'll at least give him a chance to hear what he has to say. And I walked in with this huge chip on my shoulder, like, it doesn't matter what you're gonna say, I'm not doing this, whatever, whatever. And he puts me to take this test. I'm like, I didn't even check my answers. I was just like, I just read the questions or the problems, whatever. I was like, yep, that looks like the answer. Just clicked it. And then I got, he checked the test score, and he's like, he got really excited. He's like, all right, man, have a seat. I was like, man, I was trying to fail. And he, yeah, he's like, man, you did great on that test, whatever, whatever. And his first question that I remember, obviously, was like, where did I see myself in 5 years? And I said, as a pilot, like I want to fly. Like that's just what I want to do. And he's like, well, you're in high school, so you have to have a degree and be an officer to fly. But I can get you near them. I can get you to fix them and fly on them. And I was like, all right, cool. and ended up doing avionics on CH-53s, and yeah, and that was like my first uh, introduction to the aviation industry, was doing avionics on CH-53s.
And now, maybe let's go down the military path just a little bit more, like to update people. So, what's your military career been like? Because you're not on CH-53s
Yeah.
anymore.
Oh yeah, that's right. I kind of like put a pause in there, so I just wasn't talking for 10
No, yeah,
minutes.
no, this is great. I mean, keep going. I mean, so like that. Well, let me go. I'll give you a slight break. Like, I think it's interesting.
Yeah.
Like that was. I had a very similar experience with the recruiters. I didn't walk by and get the tap, but like they definitely were like, "Hey man, come on, come on, come on," and I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know." Like,
Yeah.
but I didn't.
Yeah.
I was like, I want to be a pilot, and they were like, back when, because I'm old, like they were like,
Yeah.
you can't because your vision. Now you can. I think now they can just correct your
Yeah.
vision, but at the
Yep.
time they're
Yeah,
like,
they
oh,
can
like
correct it.
your vision's not correctable enough, so you can't be a pilot. And I was like, bye.
Oh man.
So
Sorry to
respect
hear
to you.
that.
Well, in the end, I don't know. I feel a little bad about the whole like not answering the call, but yeah,
Nah,
it didn't work
it
out.
just wasn't in your cards, man. It was out of your control.
I guess so. Yeah, now though,
Yeah.
now I could have done it maybe. I don't know. Anyway,
Yeah.
so you go to avionics on CH-53s, and then your career
I
continues.
Yeah, then I switched from that to satellite communication, and so I did that for a couple of years and finished off as a recruiter myself. My last 3 years in the Marine Corps, I was a recruiter, and a lot of respect to those guys. That was probably the hardest thing I've ever done. Most fun, but it was definitely difficult. Then I got out and spent some time out, 4 years, yeah, 4 years out. Went to college, got a degree in um, airport management, and yeah, then as my last year of college, there was a girl who I tried to put into the Marine Corps, and it didn't work out for her for whatever reason. So I don't remember exactly why, but for whatever reason, she couldn't get into the Marine Corps, and she ended up joining the Air National Guard a couple years later. And she remembered that and like reached out to me to tell me that there were like flying positions at her guard unit that she remembers, like in our interview, that I told her like that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to fly, and so I was like, I never really thought about I was going to go back into the military again. I was completely done with it, but I decided to give the recruiter a chance. It was part time, so it's not like it was something like if I didn't like it, I could just leave. But
Right.
I called the recruiter, and he said they didn't have any openings, and I was like, but someone literally just told me that you guys did. And I was like, all right, it's fine, no problem. And so that day, I was at the gym, and I was just talking to one of my friends about the day and what happened, and he ended up, I didn't even know it, but he was in the Air Force Reserves, and he's like, well, did you try the reserves? And I said, no, I didn't. I didn't even consider the reserves. So I called them, and they had a spot for me. The position was a loadmaster position. So you know, the reserves had it. They said, yeah, we have it. And I came, I interviewed for that. They sent me to the engineer section, and after they like read my resume and all these things, because at this time I was like 30 years old, and the cutoff age to fly was 27. So I didn't think I could be a pilot. And, you know, so I came to be a loadmaster. They sent me to the engineer section, and then I learned that the cut, you can get a waiver up to 35. And I was like, well, yeah, just let me get that waiver instead. Like, forget the loadmaster, forget the engineer. I'll
Yeah,
just be a
yeah.
pilot. And yeah, that kind of got shut down. I didn't even it just wasn't even considered. And I was, I came with a degree. I came with a pilot's license, and that's really all you really need, to get like a shot. And that didn't even happen. But I ended up just settling for the engineer spot, and that's what I do now.
Which separately though, like the thumbnail for this video, you look like a total like totally, I can't swear on the channel. You look super cool. That's a better way to say it. Like you got
Yeah.
like, because I assume you're talking up to the cockpit with the like the thing.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
that's, I don't know.
Yeah, I
If
mean,
that's
I
a
actually like
consolation,
that
it's pretty
picture.
cool. Like,
I mean, it is. I do like the engineer position. I'm not gonna lie. I've decided to embrace it, and after I embraced it, I began to enjoy it more and more. So I really do like that picture as well. That was the first picture that I posted after taking, a hiatus from Instagram. I was like, I need to get away from this for a little while.
sure.
So I'm gonna take some time off, some very much needed time off, and yeah, that was the first picture that I posted when I came back. And I was like,
So
wow, I didn't even think anyone was gonna see this because I'd been away for so long in the algorithm. But
right.
yeah, like it got a lot of love that day. I was really surprised.
So that thing that happened to you with the being 30 years old and being like, I'm gonna fly, is exactly how I think I've told the story in the show before. That happened to me a little bit. Like there was a air guard unit nearby that was looking for F-16 pilots, like to apply for
Yeah,
F-16. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do it. And I called like the local congresswoman. I'm like, can I get your like letter or whatever? And she's like, yeah,
yeah,
but how old are you? And I was like,
yeah,
oh no, I'm too old.
yeah,
I didn't know
yeah,
about the waiver thing either until it was too
yeah,
late. Um,
yeah.
so just for everyone who doesn't know, so what are you like load master engineering on? If they haven't seen the photo, I guess
Oh, it's a C5 Galaxy, the biggest plane in the Air Force.
that's pretty cool.
I get jealous of the load master. Sometimes I was like, man, I should have stayed a load. On those super long flights, the engineer is working the whole time, and the load master, for the most part, is watching movies or sleeping. So they work when they work before and after the flight, like with the cargo
Okay.
to onload it and offload it, and that's when I'm kind of like done working. So our roles are like swapped. So flights, mostly the engineer is doing all the work, and uh, before and after, the loads are working pretty hard.
So explain this because I think I got confused in there. So it helped me understand this. So what is your like the flight you just did? Like I saw your
Yeah.
Instagram stories. You were like I think helping load some stuff, like maybe overseeing the load of some stuff. But then what's the flight
Yeah,
like for you as the engineer? Like for because I don't know. I would love to. I'm sure people at home are wondering about what that's like too.
Yeah, so for a lot of that load and the offload, and yeah, I was like just spectating and
Okay. All right.
and Instagram. I mean, yeah, I was like checking to make sure like some stuff was clear, and the cargo wasn't, some trucks and boats and stuff, so it wasn't gonna like hit anything. But for the most part, yeah, I was just watching. I was just a set of eyes. But the engineer, what we do primarily is, a huge part of the pre-flight. Pretty much everything. Um, I mean, the loads have their pre-flight as well, but the engineer, like we have a like pretty extensive pre-flight, and it's always two engineers. So there's one that's upstairs and inspecting the cockpit, and there's another one that's downstairs, like the cargo, the passenger area, and the exterior of the plane. And we swap back and forth. So on this 6-day trip that I did, I took the plane out in the engineer section, and when we landed in Hawaii, when we left Hawaii, then I was outside, and the engineer who was outside, he was now upstairs. Um, but yeah, so the pre-flight, and we're pretty much like the system matter experts of the entire plane, and even like more so than the pilots. Like they have a pretty they know how to fly it, but as far as the majority of how the plane worked, like that's really the engineer that gets like down into that. Like we do all the performance data, um, all those calculations. Um, if there's an emergency, an in-flight emergency on the plane, like the engineer is the one who processes it, and by process, like identify it, and find out, let the pilots know what's going on, like explain like what's happening exactly, and also like how to fix it. Sometimes there's minor problems, and there's like really, you know, there are really like big problems too that happen, that can happen. They don't really happen, but they can.
I suppose, like, in an aircraft that size, especially, right? Like, you're
Yeah,
basically flying a skyscraper through
yeah,
the
yeah,
sky, right? Like, it's immense.
yeah, yeah. It's like
Um,
257 feet long.
it's like a big,
Yeah, two
it's
fifty
like a
seven.
really
Yeah,
big
two
thing.
sixty seven.
Is the C5 the one? Is the C5 that's always the one at Oshkosh that they like open up and people like walk through it? Does anyone
Yeah, like
know?
completely through it. Yeah, yeah. If you can walk straight through it, that's the C5 because the it has a nose visor and a tail visor and a
So it's
tail
got to
guard.
be it. That's incredible. I was
Yeah,
just thinking. I was at Sun and Fun last week, and the C-17. Oh man, I hope I'm getting this right. The
yeah,
C-17 like demo team was there, and
yeah,
that was intense because that's huge. But you're a whole order of magnitude huger.
yeah, yeah. The C5. I mean, the C-17 is our little brother. Their max takeoff weight is like our basic operating weight, pretty much like no cargo, minimum fuel kind of thing.
And that thing looked just ginormous flying around.
It is. It is pretty big. I get confused sometimes, like looking at it from a distance. I'm like, is that a 17 or is that a 5? So they are pretty similar.
Well, I'm happy you're on the bigger one because that sounds like you can brag more. Uh,
Yeah, it's a little more comfortable in there too, as far as like seating wise. So there's more space.
I want to quick check through. There were some questions that were coming in about this in the chat. I just want to double check here. Um, are you comfortable? A lot of people are going, dang, C5 Galaxy, nice. Um, I don't know if you can answer this or not. Waukesha pilot's wondering about, do you guys ever transport presidential motorcade stuff?
Yeah, yeah, they do sometimes. When I was actually doing avionics when I was in the Marine Corps, I remember we had this trip to India for some like nuclear talks or whatever, and the the C5 actually transported Air Force One out there. So they broke down the helicopter, took the blades off and all that, and put it in a C5, and the C5 flew it to India, and yeah, I have this picture of like President Bush like getting out of the Air Force One that just came out of the C5. Yeah, I was like 19, so yeah, they do presidential stuff all the time.
Let's see what else is in here. Uh, I've been saying a lot tonight. Wolf Pilot's not here to make fun of me. That guy's in the chat always dragging on me for saying a lot. Okay, here we go. And then I did it again. Oh, well, this might be, I don't know, we can keep talking about military stuff, but this is military adjacent. Tyler's wondering about the Tuskegee Bloodline name. He says his grandfather was a chief flight instructor at Tuskegee during World War II. So
Yeah,
I don't know if you want to
nice.
talk about that. Well, that's way too big. You can't see that. But anyway, if you want to talk about that a little bit, I think it's a cool thing to
Yeah,
talk.
I really wish I had some type of direct lineage to the Tuskegee Airmen, but I don't. It's kind of like a proverbial bloodline,
Yeah, I hear
ancestors
you.
and metaphor,
Yeah, I hear
ancestors and
you.
metaphor. So, yeah, when I was making this Instagram, before my Instagram before that was about photography. It was just, all my shots and photo shoots and, things like that. And I kind of like started falling off of the aviation and off of the photography, and I wanted to like focus more on aviation and make my Instagram like more aviation centered. So I was like, man, I need a new screen name. And I was like, man, what am I gonna do? Like, because I suck at thinking of usernames. I hate it. My photography Instagram was I shoot raw. So um, but I was like, man, what am I gonna do? Like, what am I gonna come up with? And I just kind of like just let my mind go. And I was just thinking about the Tuskegee Airmen and what my goal for my Instagram was. And the goal was to inspire. The goal was to inspire. And because, like I said, I've always wanted to be a pilot, like since I was growing up. And I didn't think it was like possible. And when I finally did like believe that it was a thing, I was like, man, I want like my story through my Instagram to be an inspiration to other people. And I was like, well, the Tuskegee Airmen inspire me, and I kind of look up to them. So, um, yeah, and if it weren't for them, like I don't feel like I would be here in the capacity that I am. So yeah, then that's where Tuskegee Bloodline came from. Like because of them, I am kind of thing.
Rock on. Very good. And so let's talk about this then. So you've got this pretty cool aviation in or military aviation career in terms of what you're doing
Yep.
now. Separately, like you did achieve your dream of becoming a pilot.
Yep.
So you want to
Yeah.
talk about what that was like? I mean, that's pretty cool
So
too.
to a degree, there's a lot further to go, but I am here. I am where I am, and I'm grateful for that. Yeah, that happened. How did that happen? So when I was in the Marine Corps and I was recruiting, I would always send like kids to this, college in New York, Farmingdale State College, who had a pretty good aviation program. And anytime anyone expressed any type of interest in becoming a pilot, I would send them to the school and, try to put them in as a reservist so they can go to college and like be in the Marines at the same time. And when I got out, I was I was going to school to be a biology teacher because again, I didn't think that being a pilot was something I could really do. And so after my freshman year of college, I had like a 4.0 average and I was like feeling on top of the world. I was like, man, I could really do anything I want to do. So yeah, I was like, I'm just going to apply to this aviation program in this school and see what happens. And I applied, and even with the 4.0 average, like I didn't think I was gonna get in because my whole life I was like such a mediocre student. But I decided to like make up for all my wrongs in college and like study and like commit myself to my grades, And yeah, so but then I got in, and I was like, wow, like I really got accepted to this program. And but the way the GI Bill was paying for it at the time, like I still would have had to um, still come out a lot of money for the pilot program, so I kind of quit, and that's how I ended up in um, the airport management program. But then for the following year after that first semester of flying, the GI Bill, like, yeah, the GI Bill started, they weren't paying for it the way that they were supposed to. So I quit, and I didn't think, I think I just said that, but I gave up on flying for like 2.5 years. I just stopped flying, and because I just didn't want to like put myself in too much debt, like trying to pay for flight training.
Sure.
And yeah, so I gave up. And like 3 years after that, I had this job. I was installing cable, like internet and cable, and ended up quitting that job on a Saturday. I was like, man, I just quit my job, and I went to church. And on the way to church, like I just had like these visions in my head, like visions, whatever. Like they felt like memories, but it was like real. It felt more than just like something I was daydreaming or imagining. And I was like standing at a podium. There's like cameras going off. There's a bunch of kids around me, and I'm just like getting like a lot of recognition for like things that I'm doing in the community through aviation. And I felt crazy because, like I said, it felt real, but I had never done these things. And I was like, man, I can't do this. Like, I'm not. I don't even have a pilot's license. Like, how am I supposed to do this stuff? Then I get to church, and my friend's sister, it was like a small family church, and like she was singing, and she just like stopped out of nowhere. And I hadn't seen her in like 5 years, and she's like, Jerome, God has a message for you. She made me come, and like she like prayed for me, and like she just started addressing everything that was in my head. Like I'm standing in the back of the church feeling like just losing my mind because I'm like, why am I thinking about these things so strongly? And then everything was just like so clear in my head. And then like she helped me not feel crazy because she started like addressing it like directly. I
Whoa.
was like, wow. And I left church that day, and I went straight to the airport, and I signed up for flight lessons, and I didn't have like any issues like getting my pilot's license at all. Like I ran out of money twice, and from one lesson to the next, like I had the money to like finish. I was like, wow.
Whoa.
Yeah, just a little it was really freaky, and I tell that story. I know I probably sound like a crazy person. Not everyone believes in God and believes in that kind of stuff, but it was very real for me. Because it means, especially since I quit my job literally the day before. And all the time I had a whole bunch of money, I didn't think that I had enough to do it. And now that I really don't have any money is when I decide to do it, and it works out like flawlessly. So I'm like, guess it was meant to be, you know?
That's awesome. No, that's awesome, dude. I
Uh,
don't think you sound crazy. I mean, let's be real. If people, I don't know, a couple hundred years ago were like, hey, we're gonna like be having a show on this thing called the internet where we talk about
yeah,
airplanes, and airplanes are
yeah,
thing that fly. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, this is
yeah,
all crazy.
yeah,
This is flying is
yeah.
crazy. So what? So
Sorry.
let's get into. I should say, Jonathan. Thank you very much, Jonathan. You're a legend. For the super sticker thing. Okay, back to it. So talk to me about like let's nerd out a little bit. So like what would yeah? Lots of people love that. Gary Smith's great story. Did it come up? There he goes. Plane Lady says not crazy at all. Everyone's with you, man.
Yeah.
And this is a good one. Ryan Krieger says, "My head is spinning. He has done so much in his life already," and I agree with that too. You've been taking care of business, man. Um, let's talk
Gotcha.
about let's talk about the nerd stuff a little bit. So like you get into flight training. You do all that. Like
Yep.
what kind of flying do you like doing? What's the kind of where's your passion in? Like everyone's got like the niche they like. Like what's your kind of
Yeah,
like
yeah.
subset of aviation that you're into right now?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I really don't know. Um, most of my flying has just really, I really don't have any hours alone in the plane. Like most of my hours, I have like some type of like passenger, like just bringing them some non-pilot that I'm just bringing along for the ride to, just share it with them. Like I probably have aside of just like cross countries for training, I probably have like 3 hours where I'm just like by myself in the plane, if that. So that's really what it's been. Like my flying so far has been just sharing aviation, which is really what made me buckle down and um and get it done in the first place. Because if it wasn't for like those visions I had, like I would have never done it. And the part of the story that I left out was 6 months after that, I was on TV for flying, and then a month after that on national television. So I really don't feel crazy when I think about that. Literally 6 months after I got my license. So, everything that I saw like actually did happen, like from beginning to end. So,
So wait, what?
yeah.
Wait, what was that about? When you were on TV for like, tell me that's a
Yeah, so the first show was it was a show called More in Common. And yeah, I was at a party, an after work party in Manhattan for like young professionals. So it was just like uh, business people, young people in their, early 20, in late 20s, early 30s, whatever. And I was wearing this shirt of this organization that I was running at the time, and that was a very strategic thing. Like I did it like on purpose as a like conversation starter. And the girl who invited me to the party, like she was talking to this guy, and she was very pretty, and he's just like, whatever, trying to have a conversation. She wanted to get away, so as I'm walking by, she just grabs me and is like, "Here, talk to this guy. Have you met Jerome? Yeah, he's a great guy." So we're talking, and yeah, we're just talking, and he's like, "What's that shirt about?" And I was like, "Well, let me tell you," you know. And nothing happened from there, but he thought it was really cool, what I did in terms of like giving back to aviation and stuff, and giving back to the community through aviation. And he just like took my Instagram, and that was it. And, like a month later, like I posted something, me just doing what I do, and he thought it was really cool. He just got this new job at ABC, and he's like, "Man, you'd be great for this show that we're doing." And that's how, and it was called More in Common, and that's how I got on there. And then like a month after that, I had just gotten done flying. I walked to the Walmart right next to the airport, and I got a phone call from someone from CBS, and they're like, "Yeah, man, we came across you, and we really wanted to, do a story on you." And it's like, I gotta, since someone else already did a story, I gotta check to make sure we can do a story. But I think we're gonna be able to do it. And I was like, "Yeah, sure, no problem." And then I got a call back, and yeah, I was on CBS, national news. They're like international news. Like I had a cousin in England who's like calling my dad to like, hey man, I saw Jerome on the TV, and this is in like England. So, yeah, I think it was England. Yeah.
Well, I didn't call anyone before you came on this show, so hopefully we're not in trouble.
No.
That's so cool, man. That's what's so cool about that is that like literally, and I mean that's part of the reason why I wanted to have you on the show, right? Is like it's so obvious through everything you're posting and everything you're doing, your book, you're like all this stuff, like you are so passionate about sharing this with everybody, and that I mean, that's why this show exists, right? Like you and I feel like we've got similar missions there. It's just like this thing is so crazy and it's so amazing. Like why can't we get like the more people that can be touched by this? It sounds a little weird, but like I don't know. I agree. Like you actually
I do share a lot. I share a lot. Like I'm very, very generous, There's some people flying around with free Bose headsets, because I just gave it to them.
What? That's awesome too.
A320s or A20s. Sorry, A20s.
You sent me a video. I thought maybe this would be a good time. You mentioned that like the cockpit is you're almost never alone. I think you sent me a video of you flying like a full plane of kids around. Can I show that real quick?
Yeah. I just went through my Instagram and just like picked random stuff. I was like, oh, send me this. I was like, all right, here you go.
Well, this is one that I thought looked really fun. Let me play this for folks.
Yeah. This is the best day of my life.
Really? It's the best day of your life?
Yep.
Better than your birthday?
What?
Even better than your birthday?
That's better than my birthday too.
Wow. 2507.
Everything looks like tiny.
Oh man, look at that.
Whoa.
Hey, Kayla, sit in the seat real quick.
There we are. I hit the right button. That's so cool, man. Like, I don't know. I don't think I've ever flown. I've flown a bunch of kids. No one's ever said it was the best day ever, so you must have been doing something right.
Well, he was the only one to say it was his best day ever, so. That was actually a clip from the CBS interview. If you just type my name in YouTube, it'll come up and you can see the whole thing.
Oh, rock on. Very, very cool.
Yeah.
I got some questions coming in, and people want to know a lot more stuff. We're not even going to be able to... Jonathan says, tell Jerome I want an A320.
Yeah, it was a mistake. It was A20s.
No,
I caught
they
myself,
know.
I caught myself.
They're just goofing with you. So a couple folks are wondering. What you did your training in. What did you do? Red Baron Modeling's wondering that. Krueger's wondering that too.
Most of it was in Piper Cherokee. Actually, all of it was Cherokee 2 or Cherokee 3.
And what are you flying right now?
Mostly Cessnas. Yeah, but I'm trying to get back into the low wing. Cessnas, I'm sorry, not Cessnas, Archers or Cherokees, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, everyone loves that clip. That is adorable, they're saying. Parody Show says, that must have been the best day of your life, too.
I mean, it was up there.
I was going to say, it's pretty cool.
It's definitely a good day.
So, okay, so we talked a little bit about the flying. We've talked about the military stuff. The other thing we were talking about before the show is you're also like a skydiver.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. That's you.
It's more flying.
It's more. You said briefly. You were like before the show. You're like, yeah. I mean, I'm flying for like a tiny bit of time. So you said that. You said before the show, when we were getting ready. You said that wasn't something you even thought you would like. So talk to me about how you go from not thinking you're gonna like it to being like really into skydiving.
so I have this whole thing about if it scares me, do it, and in 2014, I had went on a skydive, for a friend's birthday, and she was like, none of my other friends would go with me, and that seems to be the recurring theme right now of people who I meet who want to try it, and they haven't. It's because nobody ever wants to go with them. And I was like, I'll do it. People are always smiling on the internet, and there's music playing in the background. Like, people are having a good time. Like, why would anybody want to go with you? And I'm terribly afraid of heights. So even seeing things on Instagram sometimes where people have like these weird angles from like a corner of a building or something, like I feel it in my stomach sitting on my couch. And yeah, so like 6 years later, 5 years later, I was just thinking about it. I was like, man, like that really scared me. At that point, it was probably like the scariest thing I'd ever done in life. And I was like, I want to try it again, but not be like, you said I can't swear, right? So I can't be a complete. I was, sometimes it just adds some little flavor to the story, but I can't be a punk about it,
Sure, yeah. Thank you.
So I'm like Googling, tandem skydives. I'm like, trying to find out like the closest place to me where I can go, try it again, and just not be so scared, like just feel a little bit more in control. And I came, as you start Googling things or you start talking about stuff, your phone just like mysteriously starts sending you these videos and sending you stuff about it. So now I'm like, yeah, I'm getting all these like skydiving videos, but I'm like, I'm still not thinking about it. Like, okay, people skydive, whatever. And then I see this video of this guy in California, Trippy Hendrix. He was wearing a reindeer costume jumping out of a hot air balloon with Big Sean playing in the background, and it was a really like inspirational Big Sean song where the lyrics were just like, wow, I can do anything kind of thing. And yeah, and he was black, so my first thought was, wow, black people skydive. Like, I didn't even know that, So in that moment I was like, you know what, forget this tandem stuff. I'm going to figure out how I can jump by myself. And I started Googling that, and I found a school in Texas who, where they advertise getting your license in a week. And I was teaching at that time. Well, you can get it in a week anywhere, really, but they were like really advertising it that way. And at the time,
seems insane. It's like
25 jumps. You can get it if you jump enough. You can get it in less than a week,
Oh,
but
man,
it's just
okay.
It's only 25 jumps. So if you can tough it out, and you can get a lot done. But yeah, so I was an elementary school teacher at the time, and my spring break was coming up in like a month. So all the other teachers, they were going to like Mexico and DR or wherever. I was like, man, I'm gonna go down to Texas and get a skydiving license, and that's what I did.
So see, this is a thing I want to talk to you about it, because it's like one of those things that I am super freaked out by, but I think I might like it. I think I gotta lose a little weight before I do it.
Are you over 250?
Well, I was. Weight, now I'm below 250 now.
So you're good. You're not too heavy.
I gotta like just wanna
you're below 250. You're right. You're gonna make it.
God, as long as I wear the right shoes. I don't know, man.
You can do it. Hey, no one was more afraid than I was. I'm telling you, honestly, I would have rode the plane down, but my friend who I was with, like, she went, like, no problem. And I was like, I can't let her make me, like, I was screaming. I lost it. There was no masculinity in my body. There was no dignity whatsoever. I was losing it in that plane. As soon as they opened the door, I lost it, like, completely, and she went, and I was just like, man, I got to do it now. So I just closed my eyes. And I went through the whole process with my eyes closed until we stabilized. So I didn't see myself like walking to the door. I didn't see the ground. I didn't see anything until we were just falling stable. And so I missed everything before that, which was like the best part. So That's why I had to do it over 5 years later and feel more in control, because I was not in control at all that first time. So I always say that if I, like me, can do it, then anybody can.
Well,
'Cause
I gotta say, like, all your skydiving photos look super cool, and it looks like you're having a really good time.
I'm having so much fun.
It
Oh my
seriously
God,
freaks
like,
me out.
yeah, I remember like the first time like flying through the clouds in an airplane, like that was like, oh my God. But to like actually fall through the clouds, touch the clouds, smell it, taste it, like that's like a totally different experience that so many people will never get to just because they're afraid, you know? Like, and I'm not gonna like live a life that I don't get to experience things just because I was afraid, you know? Because Will Smith
That's
said
the-
it. Will Smith said it, but some of the best things in life are on the opposite side of fear. So, and that's true. Shit, that's why, I mean, crap, that's why he went skydiving for his birthday, you know?
I remember seeing that, and I, oh man, that's hitting me hard too, though. That feels like it's something that I've always wanted to do. The touch the cloud thing. I'm going to tell a very brief weird story here, and that is that my wife, you're talking about like these weird moments in your life where you're not exactly sure what's real and what isn't. My wife and I have this shared memory that we don't understand, and it's both of us like, we've never done this, you know, because in theory you could actually do this. We have this shared memory of like touching a cloud, like reaching out of a window and like touching a cloud together, which is not a thing that we've ever done, but we have this shared memory of it. We dreamt it or something. And so when you're talking about like skydiving and being like, oh, I'm through a cloud or something like that, that's like a way to actually like weirdly achieve that weird supernatural connection that we have. And I should do it. I'm worried here's the other thing. I'm worried I'm gonna really like it.
Oh man, I really like this. This is so bad.
Do you like skydiving more? Do you like skydiving more than flying, like than piloting?
Actually, I do. I do. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I do. I really do. But I really like flying though. So, honestly, there was a time where I was like, you know, I wasn't flying as much, you know, just because I was just like trying to save money, because it's real easy to get, you know, carried away and just fly, you know, outfly the money that you have. So I took a break from, you know, flying an airplane, like just to, you know, catch up, because all those flights that I was doing with all those kids and like, you know, all of the, you know, flights that I was giving away, those experiences, like those are all, you know, me paying for that. Like I never, you know, it's like, I got you, you know, like I was just doing it. Like people, random strangers would just come and like, man, I saw you do this. Like, you know, can you take my son? Like, you know, and it started off like cool, like I can pay for it. And then it just like got like out of control. And I was just like, swipe. You know, like I'll pay for it later, you know? And it's like, wow, like this stuff added up really quickly. So I needed to like take a break and like get rid of this. And then, you know, so in order to do that, like I really had to stop flying. So skydiving really like kept me sane from not being able to like fly an airplane. So it's a lot. It's pretty expensive in the beginning, but the initial investment is expensive, but you know, it gets relatively cheaper after that. It's a lot cheaper than flying. So
I was gonna ask. I was like, is it like private pilot expensive, or is it like?
No, it's less. It was less. It was about I paid everything in cash. Like I mean, like up front. So I got like a $500 discount. So it's normally around like $3,000. I paid $2,400, so $400. You know, I mean $2,600. I'm sorry, I paid $2,600, and it goes up every year. So I kind of got in when it was kind of cheap, but.
And then you get to do cool things like buy a cool helmet and like buy a parachute if you want, and like
yeah.
And then
see, that's another investment. Like buying your own parachute makes it cheaper in the long run, because now you don't have to rent one. You know, you just buy your own and that's it. You know, versus,
it would be fun to just say that you owned a parachute too. Like I think that would be a fun thing to say at parties.
Yeah. I mean, it is like just like pilots and skydivers are the same thing. They always find a way to like just throw it in a story. Like, hey, I'm a pilot. Like, hey, I'm a skydiver. So it just happens that way because chances are like people around you are not. So it automatically like makes you the most interesting person in the room.
I'm
But,
definitely guilty of that with the flying side. So
yeah,
maybe I shouldn't
yeah,
do it because I would just become double obnoxious. My wife would just be like,
yeah.
"Wow, great, great, yeah, let's go to
Yeah.
this party. Not when people are partying again. Let's go back to parties, and you can tell everyone how you're a pilot and a skydiver.
Yeah,
Can't wait for that."
the key is being able to, finesse it in there. You don't want people to be
Yeah.
like, okay, cool story, bro. You gotta finesse it in there so it's like
Yeah.
interesting.
No, yeah, that's
You can't be overwhelming with it. It's got to be real subtle. It's
have
like
you
slipping in there.
dude, have you met me?
This is the first time, honestly. So
Well, no, I know. I'm just saying.
we've
like,
talked before. I mean, we've messaged each other, but this is the first time I'm like hearing your voice
No,
responded to mine.
I'm just joking.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, people are now all wanting me to go skydiving in the chat here. 72 Papa's like it's called
do it.
it's called terminal velocity. I'm gonna make these a little bit bigger so people can see them. There we go. Very professional. It's called terminal velocity. Bobby Kerr. Bobby, by the way, competed in the National Stole demo at Sun and Fun. That's where we met. But he says, if you go, I'll be that one guy that's crazy enough to go with you. Well, that would be cool. You can fly up here in your mall. He competed in a mall, did very respectfully. Short takeoff and landings. Yeah. Lots of people here talking about how they've wanted to do it for a long time. Waukesha Pilot says, my son went skydiving but didn't tell me until he did it.
A lot of people do that. They don't tell their parents until after it's done. Like I've seen it a lot.
You are a bad influence, dude.
No, this is good. This is good. The first 12 jumps, every time I got in the plane, I was like, why am I here? Like, what am I doing this for? Because I was so scared. It was just like ridiculous how scared I was. Like, I have videos of just stone-faced, like my face is just like, why am I here? I couldn't even watch other people leave. I had to like close my eyes for like the people in front of me because it was like, as you exit, it just makes this sound of like the air just carrying you away. And it was just like, gave me anxiety. I was like, my eyes were closed. And then after like the 12th jump, I was like, all right, I can look outside now.
Well, let me ask you this question. Have you been able to jump out of the back of the C5 yet?
No, it won't happen. I've asked.
Oh, have you?
It will never happen. First of all, the aft ramp is just too difficult to open in flight.
Okay.
And probably is just, the minimum airspeeds are just still so fast. I'd probably, just hit the tail anyway.
They don't. So that's actually, I always assumed that the C5 could still like guys could jump out the like side door or something, but is it just too big?
They can, but there's like an air deflector that you would have to put out to kind of like shield the forward air from you, but we don't do that anymore. C-17s do it, but yeah, the C5, like that panel, like no one sits there, like no one touches that panel anymore. So yeah,
that's interesting because that was one thing they were doing at Sun and Fun in the C-17 was dropping some skydivers out as part of their demo every once in a while.
Yeah.
I could just see you. I could see you at the ramp open, like doing one of those like jump flip crazy things.
I would love to. If I did it, I'd most likely be doing out of a Skyvan, at somewhere.
There's
one
cool.
in New Jersey. Yeah, there's a Skyvan at a drop zone in New Jersey. Suffolk, Skydive Suffolk. So definitely gonna be looking out for that.
Oh man. Every time anyone's on this this stupid show, man. Every time anyone's on this show, whatever they're talking about, I get all amped up about it, and then I gotta Google it for the next week, and now I'm gonna be Googling skydiving. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I need, the more the merrier. It's more fun with friends.
Well, maybe I'll do it, and then we can skydive together. That would be
Absolutely.
be epic.
That would make my life complete.
Sure would.
My life would have been worth living by then. You know?
Man. We are almost out of time tonight, and I know it's getting late, and you've been up forever. Before we wrap up, we play a game on the show called Short Final. A minute of, like, yes or no short answered questions. Are you up for it?
Yeah, of course.
That's great. Someday someone's going to say no. They're going to be like, no, I'm not doing this. And
no, I'm tired, man. I gotta go.
All right, let's get the music rolling. All right, Jerome. First things first. What's the best airport you've ever landed at?
Shit. I'm sorry. Anyone that I can walk away from the plane from. You know?
Okay. I dig it. What about what's the craziest thing you've ever done skydiving?
It's this thing called a horny gorilla.
What?
it's a horny gorilla.
Okay, we're gonna talk about that in a minute. What about what's your favorite passenger you've ever had?
Oh man, there's been so many good ones. It's not fair. It's not fair. My daughters. Flying with my daughters are always best.
Okay, that's good.
They
Good save.
Good save for the first time.
All right, wait. So let's go to this horny gorilla thing. What is the horny gorilla?
It's really not that crazy, but it had the craziest name. It's this thing where a bunch of skydivers get together, like you interlock your legs. Everyone's just like connected to their legs, and you exit the plane, and you're falling, and the wind is pulling everyone everywhere, and you're just beating your chest like a gorilla. Man,
so you're like in a like this. Like how do you?
Yeah, like everyone's legs are just interlocked. It's like many.
So you're like
people
flying down
like
ah.
Yeah, so you're like on your back, and everyone's like in this big circle, with their legs interlocked, and just beating your chest like a gorilla.
Okay, I guess that's on my bucket list now. And then when people find that and they're confused by it, it'll be funny.
Yeah. There's a lot of cool stuff you can do, though.
This has been really, really fun, dude. I'm so happy that we were able. I thank you so much for still being on the show, even though it's just been a rough week for you in terms of sleep.
No, it's fine. I'm having a great time.
So this has been really
pass
great.
Out now.
Yeah, you're like, I'm gonna go pass out. Dude, thank you so much. I hope it's nice to get to know you. I hope we can continue to chat and keep me posted on what you're doing. If you're ever in Milwaukee, we can go skydiving, maybe. There's a couple drop zones nearby.
Milwaukee. Oh, that's Wisconsin, right? 2020, I went to Wisconsin a few times. To Milwaukee, specifically. So, man, I wish I knew you were there. But it was always in the wintertime, so skydiving would have been closed.
Would have been very cold.
It would have been very cold. So, we would not have been able to.
All right.
Because I wanted to. Because I travel with my parachute everywhere that I go. So, I always have it, always ready to go. But, I didn't take it when I went to Milwaukee because it was too cold.
Do you ever just get on a commercial flight with it on and you're just like, just in case?
All the time. That's how I travel with it. I don't put it in my luggage. I wear it, once so that everyone can see it, and I just don't want it under the plane getting crushed and other people's luggage. So I want to make sure it's safe, because if it's not safe, then I'm not going to be safe. So I have to protect it, And it was one time actually one of the flight attendants was a skydiver, and she was an older lady. And I was getting on the plane, and she was like, "Nice book bag," and I was like, "It's not a book bag." She's like, "I know, I jumped too." I was just like, "All right." So then that turned into a conversation, and that turned into for me being in like 20A to first class, So that worked out for me wearing it.
That alone is worth the price of entry.
That was a good time. Great flight. I ended up sitting next to some lady who was like talking about stocks the whole time, and I went and I bought everything that she told me to buy, and one of those things being Dogecoin.
Yeah, I missed that one. And I missed GME. But yeah, so that's for the after show. All right.
Yeah.
Jerome, thank you so much. Guys, if you don't follow Jerome on Instagram, Tuskegee Bloodline on Instagram, awesome account. You're going to be jealous of all the cool adventures they have. It literally does live up to the professional fun haver line in his bio. And literally, dude, my cheeks hurt from smiling and laughing so much this last hour. So thank you so much for being on the show. It's been awesome.
That's great, because I'm really not that funny. So that's great.
We're just having a good time, man.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, Jerome, thanks so much. Everyone else, guys in the chat, I see so many people in the chat. Just Plain Silly's here at the end. Glad, well, you missed it, Brian, but it was great to see you pop in at the end there. Everybody, thanks so much. We will see you next week. I think next week is the year anniversary of this show, which, I don't know. That's pretty crazy. So it'll be fun.
Yeah, this is number 48, right?
48. Yeah, missed a couple over the course of the year, but yeah, I think it was a year.
That's great. It's hard putting out content and being consistent with stuff like this. So congratulations on 9 in a year. That's impressive.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It's been hard, but also very rewarding with everybody. And speaking of that, everybody, don't forget to subscribe, share, all that stuff. Check out Patreon. Yeah. We're going to do a little after show for the Patreon supporters tonight. Probably talk about Tango and Juliet a little bit. But yeah, it would be great to see you guys there. Jerome, I'm going to sign off now, but dude, I hope we can connect soon. And thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
All right, guys, have a good night.
Peace.